Are you ready to break free from the doubts and limits holding you back? Welcome to Embrace Your Value, where therapy meets coaching to help you unlock your true worth and take control of your life.
Hi, I'm Kristen, a trauma therapist dedicated to helping you heal, break old patterns, and reclaim your power.
And I'm Jen, your support coach, here to show you how to set fierce boundaries, embrace self-compassion, and step boldly into the life you deserve.
So whether you're stuck in self-doubt or feeling lost, know this: your value isn't up for negotiation. It's time to own it.
Every week, we tackle real issues that challenge, inspire, and empower you to live with purpose and confidence.
So grab your favorite drink, take a deep breath, and let's get started.
Because you're not here to play small. It's time to embrace your value.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Embrace Your Value. I'm Kristen Burrus, your friendly neighborhood therapist, and I've got Jen Anderson, our beliefs and boundaries specialist. And Jen and I are going to talk about something that is very personal for Jen. And so I just want to say thank you to Jen for sharing your stuff with us. And I will let her kind of explain what we're going to talk about.
Thank you, Kristen. And so hi, everyone. So last week we had a little bit of a health scare and a crazy thing happened in our house. And I don't know, I felt like this might be an important topic for some of you guys to hear and to understand. So I'm not going to go into huge details, but I had a huge health scare with my husband and ended up taking him to the emergency room on Monday morning, not because he was exhibiting any signs, but because he was hiding the fact that he was already supposed to go. He had been called, he had gone to his doctor the Friday before and done his health thing, and his doctor had called him back and told him to go. And he didn't know if he wanted to. He didn't know if he wanted to go to the ER. He wasn't sure he wanted to deal with the whole thing. And the whole truth of it is come to find out he had known about it for a long while. And I didn't really know what was going on. So I'm telling you all of this because, number one, I was very angry. I was angry at him. I was angry at his doctors. I was grateful to the doctor that called me Monday morning and told me he needed to be there. But I was angry that they had let it go on for years. I was angry that nobody in 2 years had checked in on him to make sure that this was being taken care of. Like, I was just angry. And so the long of the story is he ended up in the hospital for 3 days. He is going to be okay. He has a very long road ahead of him. We have a lot of things we have to deal with. But I spent about 6 days being really hurt, afraid, and angry. And that is not a feeling that I'm comfortable with. If you haven't figured it out by watching our podcast, I'm a very happy, uplifting, I will cheer you up faster than anyone else in this planet person. But I was not last week. I was devastated and I wasn't sure. I mean, my world got rocked. My whole world may have done a 180, thinking I was building a business, working towards all these goals. I have all this travel I want to do. And all of a sudden, my husband may not be able to do those things with me. I was planning a life that I now have to put a stop to for at least the foreseeable future for right now. I don't know what the real future holds, and none of us ever do. But for the foreseeable future, I have to put a stop on some of that planning, and I have to be the caregiver for him, which I can be a nurturer when it comes to talking you through things, holding your hand, just being there to cheer you on. But I'm not great on the physical side of it. If I have to poke or prod or do, none of that's for me. There's a reason I didn't go to nursing school. None of that's for me. There's also a reason I didn't have kids. I don't do diapers. I don't do any of that. Like, might sound selfish to you, but I knew myself at a very young age, and I knew that none of that was for me. So we want to have a conversation with you guys today around how do you let go of that? How do you get past it? I mean, I'm barely a week past this when we're recording this. So how do you get over it? How do you cope and deal? And Kristen, I'm sure you have some thoughts and some tips to share with our listeners, especially around the therapy side of things. And I can share some of the things that I did myself that really helped me come through it on the other side. And of course, there's still some anger there. Sometimes if he says the wrong thing, I just give him that dirty look. But that's life, right? That is part of it. So yeah, share some thoughts that you might have. I'd love to hear some.
Yeah, of course. And first of all, Jen, my heart and everything goes out to you, right? You and your husband. And I know when I got the news, I just wanted to help and do anything I could. So I'm really actually very glad that we're having this conversation. And I think this is one of the best things to do is be able to talk about it, right? Be able to have a conversation with a trusted person and let it out, let out the anger, let out the tears, let out the sadness. Like all those emotions are just fine, right? They're all necessary when we're going through something like this. But being able to have a conversation and to be able to let those emotions out, that's emotional intelligence. I'm needing to deal with my emotions. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to regulate myself. I'm going to find someone to talk to, find someone to reflect with. I'm going to do all of my self-care things. I know that in your case, especially, is I know that if I don't take care of myself, I won't be able to take care of my husband. So you have to do your self-care things. So I think what you're doing is amazing and everything I would tell somebody to do. So just let me know what of those things, I'm just picking up from what we've talked about, but what if any of those things you have done and anything else that you would like to add, Jen?
Yeah. So a lot of that, I did have a couple of really good trusted friends that I ranted at and spent time on the phone with. My mother is also still alive and in very good health. And so I had a lot of conversations with her. So that was helpful because she was also the caretaker for my dad when he got ill. Now, mind you, they were much older. So I'm also dealing with the fact that I am so young and I may have to be not a full-time, that's not fair, but a caregiver for the rest of my life to some degree for him. So that's a thing to really come up with when you are 50 years old. That is not something you expect. So there is something around that, but I did a lot of talking. I did some journaling. I like my journaling, so I did do some journaling. I did take care of myself. So the first day, the day I took him into the ER, it was very busy. Of course, it was a Monday, so it was extremely busy. And it's a big Omaha hospital, so I had to take him into the main hospital, not our little side hospital, which would have been much nicer. And we were there for about 7 hours before he got put in a room. And so by the time they put him in a room, I was exhausted. So I drove myself home, and finding the car was the real challenge because when we got there, there were no parking spaces in the emergency area. And so we had to go find a parking garage, and that was a whole thing. But it's okay. I figured it out. I'm not afraid to ask questions and ask for help. Just like, tell me where my garage is. So I decided the next day I was only going to be there for a few hours. He wanted me to come up early because, of course, we assumed, I didn't really know what was going on. I assumed he'd be there 3-4 hours. They'd send him home. I thought, well, maybe he's dehydrated. They're going to rehydrate him and send him home. That seems to be the thing, right? Oh, no. So he needed a phone charger. He needed So I came home, packed him a bag, and the next morning I took it up and went up to the hospital. And then I left about 3:00 in the afternoon. I did not stay all day. I was there long enough to get to talk to some doctors. And I came home and I took a nap. I was exhausted. I mean, I wasn't sleeping well anyway. And so I came home and I took a nap. And that's really good self-care for me. When I'm angry and upset, the best thing I can do is sleep some of that off. So I did some of that. I knew I was getting out the following day. So that was kind of nice. So I didn't go up quite as early. Again, just giving myself that time and that space to not have to sit in the hospital the whole time. And I've heard people say, well, you don't want them to be by themselves. I get that. But I also get that I have to take care of me and do the things that I need to do. The other thing I did is I completely cleared my calendar. I didn't see any clients last week. I messaged everyone and they were all so kind and gracious. I knew most of them would be, but everybody was great. And I just completely cleared my calendar because there was no reason. I did it for the whole week. There was no reason to stress out about missing an appointment or having to be somewhere because I didn't know what we were looking at. And probably the other thing that I really did that was big was I gave myself some space to breathe and not have to figure it all out at once. So when I knew that we had to put him on a special diet, I thought, well, what's the best way for me to get this information? They gave us some, I did my research, and then I just figured everything else out. It was like, I didn't have to really stress about getting it perfect. I knew a start was better than nothing. And so we started him on this process. And the last thing I will say on that is I started the healing process of forgiving. I just made a conscious decision that I don't want to be angry with him forever. I did show my emotion. I didn't hide it from him. I was not always nice. I was not always the kindest person. But it was very important that he know where I was standing on. I didn't play games with him with it. He knew I was angry. He knew I was upset. And I was okay with letting him know I was not cruel and mean, but I wasn't necessarily kind. And I think that's okay. I think letting people know that, especially in certain situations, that's okay. Because otherwise, he's going to think it's okay to continue to do that and to hide these things from me. And that's not okay. So yeah, I did a lot of self-care though, which I would call all of that self-care, like self-care, self-love. Even though I'm prioritizing him, I'm still prioritizing me. I'm not letting myself get sick or go because I'm taking care of him.
Right. Exactly. And you didn't isolate, right? You didn't get into your little hidey hole and say, I'm going to shut out the world and I'm not going to let anybody know. I'm just going to put my head down and get everything done. No, you reached out, you told people, you cleared your calendar. Everybody's going to be understanding. I mean, come on, this stuff doesn't happen every day and this isn't your MO. So it's like, I think people get in that space where, oh, I don't want anybody to worry about me, or I don't want anybody to judge me, or I don't want any of these things. So I'm just going to keep doing all the things. And they pile and they pile and they pile. And like, you're trying to take care of your clients and him, and you kind of slip to the bottom a lot of times when these situations happen. So I love to hear that you put yourself first in the healthiest possible way so that in order to take care of him. So you said something that I really, really want to talk about because I think it's important, which is you made the conscious decision to start forgiving. So please share with us how you did that.
Forgiveness, I think, is such a deeply personal thing. And I think everybody does it a little bit different. But for me, I don't like to be angry. Actually, in my human design, if you're listening and you know your human design, my human design, the not self is anger. So that is always my first response. It took me a long time to learn that. And once I learned that, it really shifted how I deal with anger. So that's part of it, because I don't like that feeling of anger. And so I have a really good friend that I really all week ranted and raved with, and she was upset with him. And there was just this whole thing. And I finally just said to her, I have to be done. I have to be done. I have to get over the anger. And so that's, I think, the first step for me. And then I really just had to come to terms and remind myself, he did not do this to make me angry. He did not do this to be mean. And I'm not even sure he did it very consciously. I think there was a lot of, and I'm not making excuses for him, but I think there was a lot of, well, we'll keep an eye on that. Well, it's not so severe. And he just heard it's not a big deal. And so it never really even crossed his mind again up until it was a big deal. And then he was freaked out. And I get that. I do. He probably thinks I don't, because that was about the time I flipped out on him. But when you hear that your husband was told to go to the emergency room on Friday and it's Monday morning and he hasn't done that, I'm over here thinking, why is he still alive? Like, that was my first thought is, oh my God, and he's still alive. So the process was just, how can I best give him some grace? How can I continue to serve him and love him and not want to strangle him? And so I think and forgiveness for me will take a long time too. I mean, it's never for me, it's never a one and done thing. It's going to be, yes, I forgive you. Oh my gosh, I hate you. Yes, I forgive you. It's that back and forth because you continue to do it. But I don't want to live that way. I don't want to live in that, I'm so mad at you. I don't want to look at you. Don't touch me. That feeling doesn't sit well with me. And so when that comes up for me, I have to just take some breaths and I have to remind myself that that's the other thing. I have to keep reminding myself that there is a lot of good that's going to come out of this. And I know that. And I actually had a conversation. I'm a part of this mastermind, and we had a conversation in it today with a couple other people where we were talking about how great it is when you can see the goodness that comes out of a bad situation. Because not always do we notice it. We have to really have some self-awareness and be willing to look for the silver lining, the good in it, and really the true good in it, not just the fake, oh, I'm looking for something good. Good. And I know there's going to be good out of this. I think there already is. I mean, it's forced both of us to change our eating habits. Like, we've been the people that'll go on a diet and you don't really clean out the pantry. You just go on a diet and then sometimes there's still snacky food. I cleaned out the pantry. I cleared out the refrigerator. I cleared out all the condiments that we could, I cleared out the spices that we couldn't have because he can't have salt substitutes. And so I cleared it all out. And I was like, we're going to do this. We're going to do it right. And we're going to do it for real because we're not backsliding on this. And I think that's a silver lining. I think that's a positive thing that's going to come out of it. I think there's just going to be so many things, even though we focus on the woe is me. Oh my gosh, my life's going to be so different. And there are going to be a lot of things I'm going to have to really accept and be okay with. But that's just going to take some time. That's going to be one at a time. And I get through that. So to answer your question very long about, I think forgiveness is it's that process. It's that reminding myself and him that there's good in this and that every day's a new day. So if today's not perfect, let's just start over again and we just keep going. And we might start over minute by minute, but it's not really the end of the world.
Yes. And I think what I heard you say is, I'm going to put it in my own little words, is the anger wasn't serving me, right? So the anger served you in a place where you needed to act and you needed to do things and you needed to make sure that everybody was safe, right? So the anger got that done for you. And then when you realized that the anger was no longer serving you, you released that, right? And said, now that I've released this, I can move into the forgiveness pattern. I like the way you say, like, it's a step-by-step process, because I think sometimes people forgive too quickly, and
Yes.
then resentment. And then, or they feel like, well, I wasn't important enough for them to be whatever or change whatever. And so setting the stage up for, look, I'm going to be mad, and I'm going to not be mad. And then I'm going to be mad, and then I'm going to love you. And I'm going to always know that we're going to be the best. And I'm over here and I'm going to be sad, and letting yourself have all the emotions. Right. And so instead of avoiding, and I love that you have the understanding that your self-care, some of it is like you have to sleep off some of the anger, but you weren't like sleeping the day away. You were taking care of yourself, being productive. You weren't avoiding the emotions. You were sharing the emotions, sharing them with him, right? Not just sharing them with your friend that you were ranting to, but you were sharing them with him when it was appropriate, and processing. And that was self-care. And you're right. Like, I agree 100%, because I think when there's an emergent situation like you had, a lot of times people will be like, okay, I need to not take care of me because I need to take care of this other person. So it sounds like you found a really good balance for both of you. So where you could take care of him as well as yourself. And you did that by tuning into yourself with your journaling, talking to people, understanding what was going on, all the work that you've done previously, right? Just on yourself, like all of your own self-work before, maybe is what led us up to this moment. Like, how can I manage this? Not everybody would manage it in the way that you did, Jen. Like, people go into panic. I've been in panic before, and I'm pretty good at staying level-headed. I just want to commend you, first of all, for doing what was best for you and your family, and not giving up yourself in order to meet the needs of everyone else.
Yeah, thank you. And you point out a really good thing that as you were talking, I realized, I'm sure I realized this last week, but a lot of it has been a big blur, is that had I not been on this journey to becoming who I am, if this had been 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would not have handled this as well. This would not have been my process. I'd probably still be angry, and I might not even be here. Like, I might have left for a while. I might have been like, you're on your own. You want to do this alone? You're on your own. Because I got to tell you, that's a thought that crossed my mind. Very valid. I thought, well, what's the point? And then I was like, no, that's not fair. It's not fair to me either, but that's not fair to him. And so, yes. So this, what I'm getting at is that this is a prime example of why we do the work, why we do counseling, therapy, coaching, why it's so important. Because if you can't come up with these things on your own, you need someone in your corner that can help you through them. And this is why I'm so passionate about what I do and the women that I serve. And this is a little off topic, but it's still a lot on here. Earlier this week, I think it was Monday, one of my coaches put out a post, and it said, what would you wish that clients who work with you knew before they started working with you? And I thought about it for a minute, and I thought, I wish they'd know that they have to do the work. I mean, I know that sounds simple, but I can't do the work for them. I can be here to support them, love them, care about them, be the shoulder, whether it's virtual or in real life. I can do all that, but I can't do the work for them. And so if potential clients are out there and they want to do the work, that's when you know you're ready. If you're like, well, that all sounds great in principle, but there's no way I could do that, keep watching, keep hanging out with us, because eventually you're going to be ready. And that's the beautiful thing about it. The more you spend time in this type of an environment, the quicker you're going to get ready. So anyways, that's my PSA for that. I'll get off my soapbox. But yeah, that's really where I feel like that's at. And I know that's why I did so well and why I can come back 10 days later and be like, this is all going to be okay. Even though I may not get to travel hardly at all anymore. Or even though I may not get to do some of the things I wanted to do, I still know it's all going to be okay. And it's all going to work out for the best. I don't have to know what the best looks like. I just have to know it's coming.
Right. And isn't that really the key to getting through anything is like, it's going to be okay, regardless of what happens. Do I not get to go on my next vacation? Probably not. And anything can happen after that. And I can be okay without going on that trip. And I can be okay if we can just all get to a place. And I have my own anxious moments, right? So like I'm not
Y'all do.
but not over here.
Y'all do.
Like I'm always okay. But it's like if we can know that, hey, this is a hard time and I know that I can be okay on the other side, it's like we can persevere through anything, right? We can walk through fire if we know on the other side, hey, my feet are probably going to be burned and I'll be hot and I'll be tired, but I know I'll be okay. So we can get it done.
And I have one last thought that went through my brain. So I don't know. We're going to talk about this. This might be a topic for another podcast. So we might have to do that. But here's the other thing, the other side of that situation that you're just talking about. Everything's going to be okay. Don't compare your situation to my situation or to anybody else's, because you might think that mine is worse and yours is not so bad. So why are you upset about it? That's not the thing. I don't know why this hit me, but I was thinking when you said we can persevere through anything, 9/11 hit me. And then instantly I thought, oh, well, this was nothing like 9/11. I was like, but that doesn't even matter. We still have the right to have the feelings and to go through the things that we go through in the processes, no matter what. Even if it's just, I cut my finger, I'm going to show you my hand. I cut my finger and I want to be upset about it, or I want to feel sorry for myself. That's okay. You can do that. That is your right. And then once you're done with that, you get to move forward. And that's the goal in all of it. That's what Kristen's talking about. We get to have our feelings. We get to do it, but don't compare to anyone else, because you have a right to have your own thoughts, feelings, and whatever about any situation. So it's not like whose is better. Nobody should be keeping score. We all have our own trials and temptations, no matter what they are. So anyways, that was that.
No, I agree. And I love the don't compare, but also it's like there can always be a worse situation. Like your example was great. Like 9/11, horrific. And that doesn't mean that your situation doesn't suck. It doesn't mean that it's not hard. People come in here all the time and talk to me and they're like, oh, my problems aren't that big. And I'm like, but they're big to you and they're big enough for you to want some help with them. So let's focus on that instead of focusing on shaming ourselves because we feel like our problems aren't big enough for help. So remember, everyone out there, A, it can always be worse, and B, can always be better, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I love it. I can sum up my message. If I could say what's one thing that I would want clients to know before they see me, one is I can only do so much. You have to do a lot of the work, which is a speech that I have with people a lot of the times when they come in. I'm like, this is going to be hard. I can't do all the work. You got to do your part. I'll do my part. You do your part. That, and it can be okay.
You're allowed to have a good life and be happy. We all are, no matter what. Thank you for this. This was really great.
Good.
Thank you all for listening. My heart is better. So thank you for letting me just use this platform to share, because it was a rough week. It's going to be rough. There's going to be other times. There's going to be things. You know what? I'm not alone. And I wasn't alone last week. and I didn't let myself, you're right, I did not go into isolation mode, which I have done in the past. So I hadn't even thought about that till you said that. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't do that. I pretty much told everybody because I was so mad. I thought everybody should know what he had done.
Right? Oh, I want everybody to be as angry as me.
I was too. I think I was just like, I'm going to shame him. Not
Sure.
intentionally, but just
Right.
that was like, and partially too, I've never really been the girl that's like, I got to find my platform and tell everybody. But now that I know what's going on with this, it's like, I want people to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
Pay attention. Like, really see it. So when I get more information, there might be a whole nother podcast on kidney disease because I'm going to have information to share and warning signs and things that we had no idea were there. So,
Yeah.
and one of the biggest ones is cognitive brain function.
Really?
Yeah, I'll tell you more about that later, but
Yeah.
I thought he was getting Alzheimer's.
Wow.
I've noticed that over the last year. So anyways, thank you again to everyone. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Shoot one of us an email, whatever you need. We are here for that. I will answer anything. I'm always an open book. So if you're struggling with something and you want to talk about it, or you want to talk more about the forgiveness piece, or you want to know more about my situation and what we went through, I'm happy to share that. That is not an issue. Just come out there and ask us and be happy to tell you.
Yeah. Thanks, Jen. Thanks for being vulnerable. I think this is going to be just really valuable information for people who maybe not the exact situation, but we have all kinds of situations, and you being vulnerable, I think, is really going to help some people. So thank you for that.
Thank you. All right. Have an amazing week, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for being here with us today.
If today's episode hit home, don't just keep it to yourself. Subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Because everyone deserves to know their worth.
Next week, we're diving even deeper with more insights and tools to help you break free from limitations and live authentically.
Until then, keep raising your standards, owning your worth, and embracing your value.